okay, so let's actually move out of this folder and create somewhere else so that you will. Okay, so let me create this folder git, and by default this folder is not associated with git in any way. So if I'll use git here, it will return me nothing, since it's not returning me anything like it is a state repository or not. So you can see here it's nothing. So once you create a repository at some place, so here if I initialize the repository, and now you work here with let's say you have created files. Now here you have created a file, and let's say in this file, no, okay, so here this is a file that you've created, and let's say this folder contains this file, and it also contains some files with executable files, let's say a.exe, and okay, so I made a mistake here. So let's say your folder contains a file hello and a.exe and binaries.exe. Okay, and so for working with the gitignore, so our here let's say our task is actually to track this hello file and ignore the files at every stage which will be comprising of the extension .exe. Okay, so consider this general situation. So how we can actually tackle the situation is, if we create a file, a gitignore file, and in that gitignore file we actually specify it that you have to now ignore every file which will contain .exe extension. So for that, what we'll do is we'll create a file. So just you can create a file and with the name .gitignore. Okay, so we've created a file with .gitignore, and just provide here that all the files with .exe extension to be excluded. So we have these two files with the .exe extensions, and now these two will be excluded. So for this actually to work, you have to actually, for the first time, you have to specify it that this gitignore file exists. So for that, you have to actually add this gitignore file to staging area. Okay, so let's add this gitignore and git commit, and let's say gitignore. Now I've added this gitignore. If I will use git status, so you can see here it shows me only hello.md in the untracked section, not this a.exe and binaries.exe. If I will use a git add for adding all the files, it will add only this hello.md. Okay, if I create any new file, let's say if I create any other file with this name, let's say discord.exe, something like this, and if I again use this git add, let's say all, and if I'll use git status, you can still see that this is adding only hello.md to the staging area. It's not adding these files. So you got the purpose why we're creating this gitignore file. If you have suppose a criteria where you want to exclude a certain category of files, or files with certain names or with certain extensions, so you can actually use the gitignore in that particular situations. No. You have to commit it for the very first time once you create it, and yeah, if you modify it at some future, let's say in some future, if I have to modify this, let's say I have to also now include, let's say I have now we have now binaries with, let's say .msi extension, let's say something like this. So I have to now go to this gitignore, and I have to now add this information, like also exclude this .msi also. So to specify this, and this is like a normal file. You work with the Git, So for every time you actually make a modification, if you'll actually use this git status, it will show you that you have modified this git ignore. So after that you have to actually commit this git ignore once again also. I didn't get your question, Shilpa. What you are asking?
So
Okay, so
you
you
added the commit edit message part to dot git mark.
uh, okay, your voice is not very clear.
So you added the commit edit message part to dot git.
You added what?
You created a document called commit message. You
Your
added
voice
that
is
in the
breaking.
console. Okay, I'll write.
Can you type your question? Okay, who question was that? You got this? That every time you make a modification in this git ignore file, so it's just like a normal file. You have to again commit this. So since now it's in modified section, you have to again add this to the staging area. If you have modified this, like dot git ignore, and then commit it. Okay. Yeah. Look. So what happened at that point of time was uh, that actually I told you that look, if you want to commit, there are actually multiple ways you can do this. One was that you can use git commit and just provide a message simply using this m flag, and in double quotes you provide your commit message. Or if you suppose you have some big something, let's say you have 40-50 characters to write, so you want to actually describe your whole work. So in that situations, what you can actually do is instead of passing this whole message here using this m flag, just simply type this git commit and press enter, and actually git will open an editor in your system, whatever default editor that you have specified for your system. And after that you can actually type there in complete description. It will open a text document in your editor. So you can try this. Just simply click on git commit, and this is going to open an editor in the system. Yeah. So I guess no confusion.
So suppose there is another file with another extension, and I already have added it in the uh, git ignore file. And if I now write the command git add all, I mean, then what will happen?
Okay.
Will it
So you are say okay. Once again, I'm not very clear what you said. So you have a file in your system. Can you repeat once again your question?
uh, suppose I have a .py file in this folder, and
Okay.
I want to ignore it. Okay,
Okay.
and I have added that thing in the git ignore file. Okay,
Okay. Great.
okay. So now if I write the command git add all, then what will happen? Will the
So
.py file will go into the staging area, or it will be ignored?
look, this happens. It will actually see for the git ignore for the last commit. So if you have modified git ignore just now, okay. So let's say your git ignore was already something like this. Let me try to explain it to you. So it will just depend on the at the time on which you made a commit. So let's say, okay, let's consider these circles as a commit. So this is your workflow. Okay. So on this commit you are present here actually, and this is your next. This is going to be a next commit, and here you have a git ignore file. And suppose at this point of time you don't have added .py. Okay. And after this commit you have made a modification here to add the py. So if you are actually going to use git add all, so since at this point of time .py was not present here in this file in the commit, so what it's going to happen is py is going to be added to the staging area. Did you
But
got?
from the next commit, .py will be ignored.
Yeah, from the next commit, Git will actually. So what happens is Git will see this committed git ignore file and will check what are the files that the user has told him to not look at it, and it will go through all the extensions and compare, and whatever extensions he found or the name he found, the Git will ignore that categories of files and with that name or extensions.
Okay, so the .py file will be ignored from the next time, but that particular .py file will is already staged. So what will happen with that thing?
So
Will it be unstaged?
it will get committed. No, it will get committed. So what you can do is, suppose you want to remove that file. So yeah, in the yesterday slide, you can see that you can use this git rm command to remove a file from this git repository. Okay, so let's say your situation has now become like there has been a file. Let's say this file which has been added to, let's say, this particular commit. Okay, and this has been continued on, and let's say on this commit you suppose you realize that you actually don't need this file. So if you'll actually delete this file, so it will be deleted from this commit, but on this commit or in this commit this file will still remain present. So if you want to actually delete that, so what you can do is you can use this git rm command. So what this will do is this will not only delete that file but will also delete it from its repository, its record also. I hope you got what I'm trying to explain here.
Yes, right. Clear, clear. Yes.
As you might have known now that actually Git is saving the versions. So at any particular commit, if you delete a particular file, so you can actually get that file back by going to the previous version, since the previous version was containing that file. So if you want to complete it, remove it, you can use git rm command. And yes, someone said something. Okay, so it's raining heavily, I guess. Look, I don't know if something can be done for it or not, because it's a problem from your end. Look, what you can do is, if you're facing the problem, uh, then I can actually make a quick revision of the today's lecture on the tomorrow session. So, and obviously the slides will be provided to you. And if you still face any problem, you can ask your doubts. Okay, so now let's move to the today's part, which is undoing changes. And still, no doubt with the previous part or section. And anybody faced any problem during the installation or using it for the first time in their local system? No one. Everyone's Git is working perfectly on the system. Just a quick yes or no from everyone, so that yeah, great. So now I guess we are good to go. So look, in the undoing changes, what we are going to learn here is how we can undo our changes that we have done. So for the way you have used this control Z too much amount of times in your while you're working on a document or you're working on a code or you're working on an Excel sheet, whatever. So here undoing changes something like that, but not completely similar. So it actually depends on situations. So different kind of situations we have to use different tools for undoing our changes. So let's actually quickly go through all the situations. Okay. So firstly, let's actually look at our get status. So here are some changes in the staging area. So let's actually commit this. So okay, so I was not actually present in this folder. This was a new folder that we have created. We were actually here on the project section, and here if I will use get status, then Okay, I can close this part, this window, which is not needed by me. And let's use this git status. Okay, so and these two are untracked section files. Now uh, let's open our code editor also, and here let's close this part so that we don't have extra windows to create confusions. Okay, so here are the files, hello.py, index.html. So these are the files that we are working on. Let's say if I now you know that if I modify a file, let's say here in the body section, if I add a h1 and which says to be this is my first web page, so something like that. So you know now that if if you use git status, it will show you that this index.html is modified, and if I want to see the changes that I have made, I can use this git diff statement, and it will show me the changes that I have made. Okay, but suppose what happens is so this command is for situations. Yeah, that I will coming to every situation. Aditya, just have patience. I will show you every situation possible and solution to that situations. So now you can see that I have a modified a file, which is index.html, and here are the modifications made. Let's say it's only for a line. So what I can do is I can just go and remove that line. That's quite simple, but it might happen that you have edited it's a large document and you have edited most part of it, let's say, and now that the document is not working perfectly or it's not looking good, and now you want to go back to the previous commit, how it was in the previous version. So for that what we can do is we can actually use this git checkout command. So what this does is this reverts the file to the previous commit. So right now you can see here this is a file and this is a modification that I have made, and if I will use here, so let me show you side by side. So if I'll use here git checkout and the file name is index.html, what this is going to do is this is going to remove the modification that I've made here. So you can see here that change is now gone. It can do with all the files. Suppose you have modified multiple files, so you can use this one. If this is not a single statement, you can also use another command, like let's say again do this thing, let's say h1 hello world. So you can also use this git restore also. Okay, sorry. Git restore and then a file name, and this is also going to remove that change that you have added to a file. Okay, so this you can use any of the two commands, git checkout or git restore. So if you modify a committed file, and let's say after modification you mess up that file and you want to go back to the commit or the changes of the previous file, so you can use any of the git checkout or git restore followed by the file name, and this will take you back to the previous commit of that file. So this is a git checkout or the for undoing changes before committing. The next thing is what if you've added your change, if you have modified a file and you have added that change to the staging area, and you want to and later on uh, you can't actually do that here. Now your modification is lost, Abhishek. So what you have done here is actually in this process is you have deleted your modification that you have made to your file. So so it's something like here is like you have so let's say this is a story between two commits. So this is your commit that you have already made, and this is a commit which is going to be made in the future. Okay, so here was this file and you have modified this file with some changes here. Okay, so now what you can do is you can either go and make a commit, or if you suppose you don't like this, so you can go back to this particular file, previous version of that file. So what you have done here is you have actually deleted all your modifications and you have gone back to the previous version of that file. So yeah, that thing will be lost. There's another difference. These both commands are used to achieve the same thing. Actually, they are actually it's used for it can be used in the different situations in different ways. So the thing here is if you modify a file which is already committed and you want to undo that thing, so you can use any one of them. Just they work. They do the same thing. Just remember anyone, the first one. It will work fine for you. Thus git checkout. You can also use git restore, whatever you like. So the next thing which I was talking of was, so let's say in the earlier example, what you've done was you've just modified a file. Let's say now you have modified the file and you have added it to the staging area. And let's say after adding it to the staging area, you realize that your work is not complete yet and you need to actually unstage that. And firstly, you have something missing. So you have to complete that thing and then you have to add it to the staging area, then commit. So let's say here is something like that situation is like, here is an h1 and it says home page, and let's say okay, so just keep this index.html, and if I use here get status, so you can see here that I have modified that in index.html, and let's add this file to the staging area. Okay, so now this index.html is in a staging area. You can check and verify that using get status, and this is in the staging area indeed. Now let's say after adding it to the staging area, you realize that your some work is missing and you have to actually work on this file, then you can commit it. So you have to now unstage that file. So for unstaging, you can use multiple commands. The very first and the very basic one is you can actually use git reset command. So if you provide git reset and the file name, it will actually remove that file from the staging area. If you want to remove all the files from the staging area, let's say you have added multiple files to the staging area and you want to remove all the files, you can use git reset dot, just like git add all you are doing the same thing. This git reset dot will do. So let's say git reset and the file name, and now it has unstaged it. If you want to verify this, you can use git status, and now it is back in the modified section. Earlier it was actually this in the stage section, and now it's in the modified section. Okay, you can also use another command which is git restore. So how we use this is git restore. Actually this is a little bit, you have to provide more information. Git restore staged, and then you have to provide the name of the file. So let's say index.html. So this will also do the same thing, and that what git reset index.html was doing. In fact, you will see this command if you use git status. So here if you use git status, then it's showing us that this change is now in the staging area. If you want to unstage, you can use this git restore staged and the file name, or you can use this git restore staged. And here also you can perform the same thing that you were doing with git add or git reset. So if you provide here dot, then it will unstage every file which is present in the staging